deep in the jungles of Khao Yai, Thailand. A shadow slides silently across the forest floor. It is the king cobra, the longest venomous snake on Earth. Unlike its kin that hunt rats or frogs, this giant feeds on its own kind. A ruthless choice, yet one that crowns it as ruler of the reptile world. What secret lies behind this strange and dangerous appetite? In the rainforests of Kerala, India, the air is heavy with moisture. Cicadas buzz endlessly, hidden in the dense shadows. From a damp crevice, a giant slides into view, the king cobra. Its body, more than 4 meters long, glides across the forest floor, every movement deliberate and silent. The forked tongue flickers, tasting the air. Through the Jacobson's organ, each particle carries a message. For this hunter, scent is sight. Among massive roots, a young crate slithers. It moves slowly, unaware of what lurks nearby. The cobra rises, hood flaring. It strikes with the speed of a spear. One deep bite, then it retreats, waiting. The venom does the rest. Unlike pythons that crush their prey, the cobra conserves its strength. It waits as the victim trembles, then stills, a strategy perfected over millions of years. Rains flood Khao Yai forest in Thailand. The ground turns to mud. A large monitor lizard crawls through the dripping leaves. But just meters away, death waits. The lizard is powerful, armed with claws and sharp teeth. Yet a single bite from the cobra is enough. Its venom attacks the nervous system, paralyzing muscles, silencing the lungs. Within minutes, the struggle is over. But the king is not invincible. In the skies of Myanmar, the crested serpent eagle scans the canopy. Few predators dare to challenge a cobra of this size. Yet from above, the attack is sudden and lethal. On the ground, another enemy waits. The mongoose. Small, fast, immune enough to survive a bite. These two adversaries, bird and mammal, are part of the eternal balance. Even a king must live with fear. In the rainforests of Borneo, another secret is revealed. A female king cobra coils around her nest. She has gathered leaves, building a mound, and guards it fiercely. Weeks will pass before the eggs hatch, and she will not leave. Among snakes, this devotion is rare. For her offspring, survival depends entirely on her watchful defense. Evolution has given the cobra not just power, but the instinct to protect its bloodline. Dusk falls over the red earth of Laos. The cobra's shadow stretches long across the forest floor. Tonight, it does not hunt. It moves slowly, fading into the darkness, leaving only silence in its wake. The jungle remembers its presence. Fear lingers, even after the serpent is gone. From Kerala to Khao Yai, from Myanmar to Borneo, the king cobra's story is one of power, danger, and survival. Apex predator, devoted parent, vulnerable prey, its life is a paradox. But the greatest threat does not come from eagle or mongoose. It comes from us. Roads cut through its forest, farms replace its hunting grounds, villages spread across its kingdom. The throne remains, but it trembles. And so, the question lingers in the humid night air. How much longer will the jungle echo with the silent passage of the king cobra? The cheetah, slender, almost fragile, roams the Masai Mara in Kenya. It lacks the bulk of a lion. It lacks the crushing jaws of a leopard. Yet it carries a weapon no other predator can match. Pure speed. How can such a delicate frame transform into the fastest land animal on Earth? At dawn on the Serengeti plains of northern Tanzania, the first light spreads across an endless ocean of golden grass. Mist lingers over the banks of the Grumeti River, where herds of Thompson's gazelles gather to drink. The scene looks calm, yet danger waits in silence. Hidden low in the grass, a slender shadow fixes its eyes on a target. The cheetah, the hunter of speed. Unlike lions that vanish into tall grass, or leopards that perch high in the acacia trees, the cheetah must gamble on open ground. Its body has been shaped by evolution into a weapon built for speed. A long, flexible spine like a spring, light bones, slim legs, a tail that works like a rudder, and an oversized chest to house powerful lungs and a racing heart. Every detail serves one purpose: acceleration. This is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of breaking 100 kilometers an hour. Yet that burst lasts less than a minute. Beyond that, the body overheats and the engine fails. This female has been watching the gazelles since sunrise. She singles out a young one straying from its mother. Her chest rises, then explosion. In just 3 seconds, she reaches the velocity of a sports car at full throttle. Each stride covers 7 meters. Air rips past her body. Legs strike the earth like drums. The gazelle veers left, then right. The cheetah's tail whips like a rudder, correcting each turn. Then, the strike. Claws latch, a body crashes to the dust. In an instant, the chase is over, but triumph is fleeting. Her heart pounds over 200 beats a minute. Heat floods her muscles. She collapses beside the kill, gasping. And at that moment, the scavengers arrive. 3 hyenas lumber out from the riverbank, circling, laughing. Their strength and numbers overwhelm her. Within minutes, the gazelle is theirs. For the cheetah, speed wins the hunt, but rarely the meal. On these plains, half of all successful chases end in theft. Across the border, in Kenya's Masai Mara, a different story unfolds. 3 male cheetahs form a coalition, often brothers from the same litter. Unlike solitary females, they hunt together, turning weakness into strategy. Their target today, a strong adult gazelle. The chase erupts. One drives the herd, another cuts the angle, and the third delivers the final blow. Dust explodes, hooves scatter. Within seconds, victory. This time the meal belongs to them. Cooperation, rare among big cats, has tipped the balance. Back in the Serengeti, near the edge of the Ngorongoro Reserve, a mother cheetah walks with her 3 cubs, barely 8 weeks old. They tumble through the grass, still clueless about the hunt. For her, every step is survival and a lesson. She picks a smaller prey to demonstrate. Stalk, burst, strike. These moments will decide their future. The odds are brutal. Up to 70% of cubs die in their first year, taken by lions, hyenas, even eagles. Those who survive carry the legacy of speed. Yet speed is always a gamble. Near the Mara River one evening, another female makes the wrong choice, an adult gazelle too strong. The chase drags on beyond a minute. Her stride falters, her lungs scream, her body overheats. She stumbles, collapses, gasping in the dust. The limits of biology revealed. Unmatched velocity, but no endurance. That is the price of extreme evolution. As the sun dips behind the acacias, the Serengeti turns crimson. This is the golden hour for cheetahs when lions are still hidden and hyenas have not yet gathered. They rarely hunt by night. Their eyes cannot pierce the darkness like true nocturnal hunters. Instead, they master timing, choosing the narrow window when the plains are theirs alone. The cheetah will never rule the savanna, but it remains essential. By taking the young, the weak, it keeps the herds healthy, the ecosystem in balance. Its fragile presence is proof that survival does not always belong to the strongest. Sometimes it belongs to the swiftest. In the fading light, a mother and her cubs vanish into the tall grass of the Serengeti. The wind swallows their tracks, and one question lingers. In a world ruled by power and dominance, will speed alone be enough to secure their future? The waters of the Amazon lie still, like a mirror. Suddenly, a faint ripple breaks the silence, then vanishes. Two round eyes emerge from the hyacinths, cold, unmoving. In that moment, the rainforest holds its breath. Not a stone, not a branch, but an anaconda, the dark giant of the swamps. It waits, one mistake from its prey, and the river will explode. Who will survive when this giant strikes? In the Orinoco Basin, on the border of Venezuela and Colombia, the first light of day spreads across brown-red waters. A peaceful scene unfolds. Catfish stir below, kingfishers dive like arrows. Howler monkeys call from the treetops. Yet beneath the surface, the green anaconda, the largest snake on Earth, remains motionless. Some reach 8 meters, weighing over 200 kilos. Their dark green scales, mottled with black, render them almost invisible. In rivers, marshes, and flooded forests, stillness is the ultimate weapon. They sense every shift in the water. The faint stir of a flock of whistling ducks, the splash of a peccary at the shore, nothing escapes. Anacondas don't need to hunt daily. One great meal can sustain them for weeks, even months. That is why each ambush is a razor's edge between success and starvation. Night descends. Moonlight drapes the Orinoco in silver. The snake begins to glide out from the reeds, soundless, immense. Its body coils through the dark. Then prey appears. A capybara, the world's largest rodent, steps down to drink. Ears twitch, eyes scan, muscles tense. Yet water is both sanctuary and trap. In a flash, the river erupts. The anaconda lunges, coils clamping around the capybara. The squeeze crushes its chest, stealing every breath. No venom, no fatal bite, only raw muscle. Each frantic struggle tightens the grip. Within minutes, the fight is over. In slow motion, the snake's eyes remain calm, its body relentless. Once still, the feast begins. Its jaws unhinge, stretching wide, swallowing a body larger than its own head. The process lasts hours, but this is what evolution designed it for. Yet in the Amazon, no hunt is guaranteed. Even giants face danger. In Brazil's Pantanal wetlands, another predator lurks. The black caiman. Reaching 7 meters, armed with jaws of bone-crushing power, it can challenge the anaconda itself. As the snake constricts its prey, a surge of water announces the caiman's arrival. The river churns into chaos. Two titans collide beneath the murk. The caiman snaps, searching for a grip. The anaconda coils tighter, refusing to surrender its kill. A brutal contest of power. The caiman has bite force unmatched, but the snake has flexibility in water's embrace. Minutes drag. Finally, the caiman releases, sinking back into the depths. The anaconda, still wrapped around the capybara, slips away into deeper, safer waters. Dawn returns to the Orinoco. The sky glows with amber and rose. Beneath the hyacinths, the anaconda lies still, body swollen with its hard-won prize. For weeks, it will not move, locked in slow digestion. Around it, the forest continues. The cries of monkeys, the wings of parrots, the distant bellow of caimans. Yet somewhere in the brown current, a massive shape stirs again. With muscle forged by evolution, with camouflage perfected by shadow, the green anaconda embodies survival. But in this Amazon world where jaguars, caimans, and piranhas also reign, can it truly be the undisputed master? That question lingers, like the endless whisper of the rainforest, long after the screen fades to black. Under the bright midday sun on the Masai Mara grasslands in Kenya, an African porcupine stands still on the bank of the Talek River, its back covered in black and white quills fanned out like a cloak. It only seems like a root eater, waddling, slow, no speed, no fangs. Yet a single touch of those hollow quills can leave a predator with deep, stubborn wounds. How did a creature that looks this clumsy end up on the do not try list for experienced lions and leopards? At high noon in the Masai Mara of Kenya, the grasslands fall briefly quiet after several herds of antelope have swept through. An African porcupine climbs out of an old aardvark burrow and steps silently onto an open patch of ground beside the Talak River. Its body is round, its legs short, its back covered in black and white quills as hard as needles, fanning slightly with every breath. It digs for roots and gnaws on a dry bone to top up its calcium, the crunching sound ticking steadily under the sun. Few would guess that this waddling creature in broad daylight belongs to one of Africa's largest rodents, weighs about as much as a dog, and usually spends the day hidden underground, coming out only when the heat softens or after dark. A hot gust sweeps across the grass, carrying the scent of fur and dust. Among the old tracks pressed into the red earth, a new print appears, deeper and broader, the footprint of a big cat that's just passed by. The camera skims low along the game trail, gliding past clumps of dried antelope droppings, then settles on the tawny shape of a lioness lying flat in the tall grass, eyes locked on the porcupine. For her, porcupine is an irregular item on the menu like zebra or impala, but that dark, slow-moving shape looks like an easy chance in the hunger of midday. The air seems to slow for a beat. Only the soft buzz of insects and the faint drip of water from a distant bend of the Talak remain. The porcupine keeps its head down, but its back begins to arch higher, not from fear, but as an automatic response when it feels something moving in the air. Its hearing is far better than its clumsy frame suggests, small ears tuned to low, heavy sounds, like weighted footsteps on the ground. It pauses for half a second, tests the scent, then changes course, shuffling out into a more open patch where it can swing its back around with ease. This is when its armor truly comes into play. The rustle of grass behind it announces the moment of impact. The lioness presses herself even lower. Each padded step lands without a clear sound, only a slight shiver through the dry stems. When the distance is right, she explodes forward, her dark gold body launching like an arrow. The camera freezes the instant the porcupine whirls around, its back and rump erupting into a forest of black and white quills, standing upright like a steel brush. Its tail vibrates hard, hollow quills knocking together with a dry rattle, like a warning shaker in the grass. Instead of bolting, the porcupine backs up in firm, deliberate steps, always keeping its back and rump aimed at the danger. It's a defensive strategy honed over millions of years of evolution, turn the entire body into a moving shield, constantly pushing the weapon side toward the attacker. The lioness comes in from the flank, trying to hook at the head, or the belly, the softer zones with fewer quills. But just as her claws reach in, the porcupine snaps backward with a powerful shove, driving the cluster of short, thick hip quills into her chest and front leg. At such close range, the loosely rooted quills pop free from the porcupine's skin and sink deep into the soft flesh on the other side. In close-up, Each spine looks like a tiny spear of keratin, some with fine grooves and microscopic barbs at the tip that make them extremely hard to pull out. Contrary to the old shooting quills myth, porcupines don't fire them like arrows, they simply need to get close enough to hit. When the lioness recoils, her chest, shoulder, and one foreleg are bristling with black and white spikes, each one trembling with every pained growl. None of these wounds is instantly fatal on its own, but together they form a map of pain, especially in a hot, humid climate where infection is always waiting for an opening. Dazed, the lioness retreats toward the shade of an acacia thicket, limping as she goes, stopping to bite and lick at whatever quills she can reach. The roar that began as a challenge breaks into ragged, broken sounds, tangled with shallow, rapid breaths. Studies from East African reserves have documented big cats carrying porcupine quills in their bodies for weeks, even months, developing deep infections, wasting away, and sometimes dying. In the world of hunters, death doesn't always arrive with a slash of claws. Sometimes it begins with a single, tiny spine. The porcupine holds its ground for a few seconds, quills still raised, ears tilted toward the noise of the retreating predator. When the distance feels safe, it slowly lets the spine sink back down, its outline shrinking, until it once again looks like a messy black and white bundle of fur. A few shed quills lie scattered on the soil, the physical traces of the encounter, and will soon be replaced as new ones grow in. The porcupine lowers its head and returns to its routine, digging for roots, gnawing on bones, playing the nameless gardener of the savannah as it turns the soil and spreads seeds without anyone paying attention. Evening starts to fall over the Masai Mara. The slanting light makes the quills left on the ground shine like tiny shards of glass. In the distance, the limping, a silhouette of the lioness disappears behind a rise of grass, each step a reminder of today's wrong choice of prey. Perhaps next time she'll wait for antelope or zebra, lower risk targets, even if they demand longer, more draining chases. On a savanna where predators usually seem to control the story, sometimes a quiet coat of quills is enough to turn the whole plot around. As the frame slowly pulls back, the African porcupine becomes just a small black and white speck in a sea of golden grass. Lions and leopards are reduced to memories of missed pounces on this patch of plains. In a world where speed and muscle usually take center stage, one quiet question hangs over the fading sky. In the race for survival, is it really teeth and claws that matter most? Or the silent defenses strong enough to make even a king step back? Across the golden plains of Kenya, a tall bird walks through the grass. Not a crane, not an eagle. Its crest rises with the wind, eyes locked on the trembling earth below. It doesn't fly, it hunts, not with its beak, but with its feet. This is the secretary bird, the serpent slayer of Africa. What drives a creature born to soar, to fight on the ground instead? Dawn over the Serengeti. The first light drips through the acacia trees, painting gold across the bird's feathers. The secretary bird shakes its wings, then strides forward slow, deliberate, each step a silent calculation. This is its kingdom, an endless battlefield of heat, dust, and survival. Tall as a child, wings stretching more than 2 meters. It's a bird that refuses to fly. It hunts on foot, not with talons from above, but with the precision of a fighter on the ground. Every strike of its leg can hit at nearly 50 kilometers per hour, enough to crush a skull in one blow. Its legs act like coiled springs, bones reinforced to absorb impact, tendons snapping like steel cables. Evolution built a weapon no other bird possesses. Near Lake Naivasha, a black mamba slides through the scorched grass. The bird doesn't retreat. It circles, eyes locked. The snake lifts its head, spreads its hood, a warning too late. The first kick lands, then another, a dull crack, silence. The hunt lasts seconds, the lesson, millions of years. The secretary bird is patience made flesh. It walks kilometers each day, scanning every ripple of the savannah for life. When it finds prey, it measures distance, angle, timing, perfect geometry in motion. Mice, lizards, locusts, everything small enough to move is food. Sometimes it stamps on the earth until burrows collapse, and life beneath the soil trembles to the surface. Its vision is twice as sharp as ours. It can detect movement 100 meters away. Each kick is not random force, but calculation, a split-second decision between life and death. Among herds of gazelles and buffalo, the secretary bird walks freely. When hooves disturb the grass, snakes are flushed out, an unspoken alliance of beast and bird. Both maintaining the balance of the plains. In the breeding season, a pair builds their nest high on an acacia. A circle of dry branches, 2 meters wide, strengthened year after year, memory woven into wood. Both parents share everything: hunting, guarding, feeding. Their calls echo rough and low, a language only they understand. Six weeks later, the chicks hatch blind, fragile, hungry. The mother brings food, insects, then lizards, finally small snakes. Later, the young are trained to strike. The parents drop sticks, testing their reflexes. In this world, the art of kicking means survival, but the savannah never sleeps. Fires sweep the grasslands, storms rise, eagles steal the weak. Even hyenas and humans threaten the nests. Yet this bird endures. It rebuilds, it stays, because to stand is to live. At dusk, the Serengeti glows in red dust. The secretary bird walks through the fire-colored light. In the distance, something moves a snake. The air tenses. One swift motion, one final kick. Stillness again. In a land of venom and fang, the bird stands unshaken. It was born to fly, but chooses to fight. Each footprint it leaves across the savannah is not just a trace of travel, but a quiet testament. Sometimes, the greatest power of nature is not the wings that lift us, but the courage to remain on the ground. On a low rise along the Rio Grande Valley in New Mexico, a Roadrunner flares the dark patch on its back to drink the first light, then launches on legs, not wings. X-shaped footprints stitch the sand. The menu runs to scorpions, centipedes, rattlesnakes. How does a small, ground-running bird rule a landscape built on venom, and what timing lets it slip past hollow fangs in a single breath? Dawn settles over North America's dry belt, the Sonoran Fringe, reaching toward the Rio Grande Valley and the edges of the Chihuahuan Desert. The chill of night lifts. A Roadrunner stands on the sandy lip of a dry wash, flaring the dark patch on its back to drink the first light. A light breeze threads the creosote bushes. Insects murmur under mesquite. Short steps begin, the long tail working like a rudder, a neat line of X-shaped tracks stitched into the sand. It looks calm, but every crack in the gravel stirs with life. A whiptail lizard, a desert scorpion, a red centipede, even a rattlesnake warming beneath a sunlit rock. Here, morning is goldy before the heat, and other hunters wake. Biologically, the Roadrunner uses sunbathing as a charger. After nightfall, it lets body temperature drop a few degrees to save energy. The first light brings it back to operating speed without burning precious calories. Zygodactyl feet 2 toes forward,
Two back bite into loose ground, and those X tracks make pursuit harder by hiding direction. The light climbs, heat shimmer begins to curl over the stones. The Roadrunner hunts by sea, burst, finish. The lizard flashes. The neck tucks for half a beat, then the bird snaps forward, the beak striking clean as a finger snap. A quick swallow, and it runs on. At the edge of an ocotillo clump, a scorpion lifts its tail through leaf litter. A flick of the eye. The bird changes angle to cut it off, drives the bill into the last segment where the sting sits, then slams the prey against the sand a few times to neutralize before swallowing. Along the thicket's rim, a dry rattle lights up the snake is close. The Roadrunner shortens stride, drops a shoulder, slides left as if testing a brake line. Between barbed chala, it holds distance and waits for a scene. In hard numbers, a rattlesnake strike lasts under 1/10 of a second. Venom needs time to diffuse through tissue. The Roadrunner's answer is to shrink contact time toward zero. Hit a vital point, exit immediately. Give the toxin no window to work. By noon, the ground glows, wind combs sand into thin streamers. At the edge of a dry wash near the Gila River, a western diamondback shows itself, body coiled, head lifted. The rattle beats like dry rain. The Roadrunner circles wide, tail flicking to stabilize, eyes pinned to the neck. It feints right, cuts across the left shoulder. The snake bites air. The bird pivots, makes a short hop, clamps the bill just behind the skull, and is gone before the coil can close. Sand sprays. The tail kicks like a spring, the body spins around a pinned foot. Third pass, fourth, each beat like a jump cut, approach, land, break contact. When the snake surges forward, the bird pops onto a low rock, turns 90 degrees, drops back to gravel and goes for the nape again. Slaps of hide on stone ring out. After several rounds, the snake's muscles lose tone, the black tongue withdraws. The bird lines the head for a clean swallow. If the snake is too large, it tears sections and ferries them to a thorny hide. Danger crosses the scene in a separate thread, soft footfalls of a coyote on the slope. The Roadrunner hugs the chala's shade, sprints, carves through a narrow slot, spine snag fur but slide off feathers. The threat fades, and the duel resumes. Field notes show that Roadrunners sometimes work in pairs on a snake one distracts. The other strikes the weak point, but most finishes are solo, built on speed, angle, and the habit of hit and clear. Physiology helps. A nictitating membrane flashes to guard the cornea from spines and flying grit. The long tail acts as a stabilizer, letting the bird change direction almost instantly without losing drive. Water is scarce, so most intake comes from prey. Salt glands near the nares crystallize the excess, keeping the balance right. The sun tilts honey-colored, heat drains from the ground. The rattlesnake lies still at the gravel's edge, beaten by timing and speed. The Roadrunner shakes dust from its plumage and listens. The wind shifts. Far off, a low call from another bird on the rim of the Rio Grande marks a boundary. It picks the last scraps, slips across the open to safer thorn. With dusk going violet, the bird hops to a low perch to roost. Metabolism eases. Body temperature dips again to save tomorrow's fuel. Below, the mirage fades, but fresh X tracks remain on the sand like hurried questions. The desert passes no verdict, it sets terms. If, on some day, speed drags for half a beat and venom gains half a second to spread, does the balance tip, or does perfect timing still keep the Roadrunner on the safe side of the line? At the forest edge of Gombe, by the Kakambe stream, Tanzania. Olive baboons sweep the ground, claiming every fallen fig. Chimpanzees hold the low branches, shaking down a brief rain of fruit. Two strategies meet on a narrow trail as first light knives through the leaves. What decides this morning's speed on the earth, or reach in the canopy? Dawn at Gombe Stream National Park, on the northeastern shore of Lake Tanganyika. A thin veil of mist hangs over a fig tree by the Kakombe stream. First light slips through the leaves and draws pale bars across the red dirt path. In the lower branches, a small party of chimpanzees watches. On the ground, an olive baboon troop opens into a loose half circle, 4 beat steps quick and firm. The air is still. A faint pant hoot rolls in from afar, a test. Short, chesty grunts answer from the baboons. Fallen figs pepper the soil, late clusters sway above, a 2-tiered table both generous and fragile. Olive baboons live in multi-male, multi-female troops. Some stand guard, some forage, some keep the pace. Chimpanzees use a fission fusion system, splitting into small parties and trading positions to keep sightlines. The two strategies close in without words, only posture, gaze, and tone. A breeze slips along the dry stream bed, carrying the smell of bruised fruit and warm earth. The safety distance thins to the width of a twig. The sun clears the ridge and the day quickens. A male chimp snaps a branch, a dry crack. Leaves shiver, a patter of figs hits the ground. 3 male baboons cut across at an angle, stamping as red dust lifts and canine teeth catch the light. The chimp party slides onto the cross branches, shoulders steady. One animal shakes the bough and a brief rain of fruit comes down. Both sides harvest in tiny windows. Baboons are fast on open ground. Chimps sweep with long reach. In behavioral terms, it is distance tuning, size displays, vocal cues, positional play that saves energy and avoids injury. Adult male chimps weigh about 40-50 kilograms, with powerful upper bodies suited to throwing and pounding. Adult male baboons weigh several dozen kilograms depending on the population, built for endurance running and rapid group responses. Different hardware, different timing. A denser pant hoot rises nearby and ends in a high scream. The baboons freeze half a beat, then tighten their crescent. From the dark edge of the shrubs, alarm calls flickering fade. Wind shifts. There is a feline note under the scent of earth, perhaps a leopard passing, perhaps only an old trace. In moments like this, both species lower the volume. Noise is risk. Biologists call it an energy risk trade-off. Every choice balances calories gained against chances of injury or predation. When the threat thins out, the harvest line resumes. A juvenile baboon edges up onto a low branch. A sharp chimp bark drives it back. No strike. Only the border repainted. At the trunk, females pull infants to the center while 2 males cut lanes to sweep fresh drops. In the canopy, chimps rotate the shaker to spare fatigue, and now and then pass a fig to a youngster so the party moves without fuss. This is not kindness in a human sense, but flow control calming the needy so the group saves energy for what matters next. Clouds build from Lake Tanganyika and break the light into patches. On the southwest limb, a last fat cluster hangs. 3 chimps set a clamp. 1 braces a cross branch, 1 anchors, the 3rd shakes hard. Figs fall in a short cascade. Baboons shear around the trunk. 2 males dash the gap to catch the drop zone. For a few seconds, everything is speed, reach, interception. Leaves whisper like fine rain. When the last stem snaps free, most fruit lies within arm's sweep on the branches. The rest is scooped clean from the ground. Today, control of height buys the chimps the final sweetness. Below, the baboons tidy the forest floor and file off from the trunk, orderly and unhurried. There are no absolute losers here. Winners read the rhythm of ripening and the timing of the fall and hold a safe distance. Losers spend extra energy for a shrinking reward. In the buffer between Gombe Forest and the grass by the Kakombe stream, victory is counted in kilocalories and injuries avoided, not in deep bite marks. Baboons drift toward the familiar rock slopes a few hundred meters away to sleep. chimps slide back into deep shade and vanish behind moss-lined trunks. On the ground, X-shaped baboon prints cross the knuckle tracks of chimps a day mapped without captions. Tomorrow, a fig on the opposite slope may ripen at once, or a new pool may open in the dry stream after rain. When the paths cross again, will ground speed or canopy reach set the terms? On the border between earth and crown, which sound convinces you the next bout already has an owner, the many-foot thud, or the soft tremor of a shaken branch?